Oh wait. Oh wait. Some small child. Connect me to the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. He's not gonna be. No. Apparently that one's bad. Oh, you're already on that. Okay, that's good.
What?
Oh, wait.
It really auto-fills in with G Clemens.
Clemens login. Okay.
All right.
Very cool.
I'm George Clemens, guys.
That's an upgrade from a lower school
Why
student.
did you use LS student? It was autofill. You paid some lower school student. You used LS student. It was already filled in. And there's a fireball. There's a fireball. Yeah.
Visitor.
Except for this one. Wait, so why can't we just use visitor during school?
Because then they'll remove the visitor login like they did last time.
Yeah, so they did that?
That's why we didn't know it existed, but they removed it.
How's school?
Stressful. Harder than I thought it would be.
It is stressful.
Yeah. But I survived first semester, so.
The first semester exams are always like really
Yeah.
tough. Normally I send people a message telling them that the first semester exams will be tough, but I didn't this semester because I had first semester exams in law school and they were tough.
Computers take me off the way.
The exams were very tough, harder than I thought they would be, as you say. But
Do you like it?
oh yeah, it's so good. It's the students are all super like
Yeah,
really nice and real people, which is like not common for law school, which is nice.
I didn't pay you.
Oh, she definitely I think wants to go. I mean, she's like she works in the NYU law office. Like she's like there. Like I just like sometimes would just see her walking around the law school.
She's a good fit, I think.
She's great. She'd be so good. Well, yeah, I mean, your exams are over, which is nice. This must be a good break.
Did you post an FFA?
This is like a notification. I've had to judge.
You should post an FFA.
I was not supposed to judge this round, but Muhammad was a delinquent, and now I'm
Is he still
here.
on Shadow?
He, I believe, is out for the day,
Oh.
or at least is out for right now, which is why.
The best fight for him to
It's
with the base.
What email did you send it to?
I'm Solo61.
Okay, yeah, that's the right one. I got it.
You were debating, so I felt.
Sachin, how dare you ruin the integrity of this debate?
It's very small text to say the spikes are at the bottom.
I mean, I just use like the normal clear font.
Yeah, it's okay.
So I guess they're clear font. Font size for spikes at the bottom.
I'm good, by the way.
Okay, everyone good?
Wait one moment. Now I'm good.
Plan the Republic of India and the Islamic Republic of Pakistan should eliminate their nuclear arsenals. Current line 18. In a security conference such as South Asia, the only solution to completely abolishing nuclear weapons is the only effective way to ensure the non-use of nuclear weapons. It's critical that needle in the Islamic and non-discriminatory nuclear regime essential to establish nuclear confidence building measures and arms control agreements that should be encouraged. Advantage in an Indo-Pak war as good to goes nuclear. Only elimination of arsenal strikes first. Preemptive counter first strike. India would do despite NFU, but Pakistan considers it two occurs in Yak 19. Indian defense minister orders India due to NFU, but what happens in the future depends on circumstances. India's counter first capability give you the option to target Pakistan's nuclear forces. India's been building accurate missile systems in larger numbers. Also improving the ability to monitor Pakistan's nuclear forces, new capabilities, deal with temptations. If we could destroy Pakistan's entire nuclear arsenal, one will see why rule out of preemptive strike. Indian officials have been arguing for greater flex in the nuclear doctrine, but India and Pakistan have incentives to go first and go massive. Second, terrorism, major retaliatory strikes, hardline nationalism, Pakistan's inability to counter the Indian army, make nuclear escalation. Now, Ayub 18 attacks, provide justification, Indian nationalistic pressure, the Indian military response, Indian retaliatory attacks, target not only terrorist based, but also Pakistan military facilities, escalation, terror attacks, made the situation perilous. Intelligence are ready to launch major retaliatory attacks and target Pakistan. The Jaish terror attacks had an Indian military camp. The Indian army destroyed Pakistan and army post different is reaching dangerous proportions. Pakistan military cannot continue down, but Indian attacks, Indian surgical strike will push the Pakistan military retaliating force. Pakistan unable to counter superior Indian conventional force as a result of battlefield nuclear weapons. India will massively retaliate. Third perception, Pakistani belief that India will first strike, and Indian overconfidence triggers escalation clearly in Iran 19. Modi coordinators preparing to launch conventional missile strikes. South Asia was absolutely nuclear lighter. India alleged Pakistan to support terrorist groups that killed tens of thousands of Indian civilians. Pakistan now possesses ability to use nuclear weapons on the battlefield to restrict India's superior forces. India has access to radar imagery and can target much of Pakistan with land and sea and cruise missiles. India has unlike enough capabilities to arm Pakistan near the medium-term interest capabilities like the accelerated arms possibilities to arm strike might and generate Pakistan early considering for first strike. Indian overconfidence may lead to execute a counter first strike even if it cannot. Nuclear war between India and Pakistan destroys the world. Johnson 19. Nuclear explosion burns out areas 36 million tons of soup. Below 30% of sunlight, 5 degrees cooling. India could rainfall 30% globally. India and China precipitation dropped to 0. U.S. would see decline 50%. India, Pakistan suffered 225 million fatalities. Temperatures declined to the last ice age. Mass starvation, extinction, nuclear volcanoes, ice age, and mass starvation. Star 15 to war of nuclear weapons would be a mass extinction. Many extinction out of it. Finality would take many years. For many years, it would be too cold and dark to go free radioactive all parts and device. Millions of tons of would destroy ozone and Pakistan, like creating ice age for decades. Or nuclear war to leave there. Essentially uninhabitable. Even limited nuclear war immediately kills hundreds of millions in 1 week. 2 in all. 19. Even one nuclear weapon explosion could do a great deal of damage. 15 kiloton airburst could kill 100,000 kiloton airburst kill 2 million fatalities. Because its population to World War 15 kiloton weapons fatality equal to World War II, and then World War 100 kiloton weapons did directly kill 2.5 times many fatalities occurring in a single week. Framing the standard is maximizing spectral B one actor specificity when accuracy and repulse benefits on farms of the the saturation trench. Pre-action people in no commission choosing to make as act because governments decide not to have present the average course between two action neither is emission C point no intent force edition foreseeing conflict for deliberation makes interaction when it had to happen. Actor specificity always could differ. Agents have different ethical standings. Governments obviously have to agree because they can't account for every single person and have to make an inevitable trade-off. Second, most superior access threats of all security precludability for moral actors and other criteria precludability act on a moral theories and constant crisis that inhibits ideal moral condition. Third is only consequential when degrees wrong tiebreaker promise me to frozen on back breaking of powers to take a dying person's hospital. Only consequence echoing on a second so much worse than the first. 4 is substitutability. Only consequential is only when it's necessary and moves to an arbitrary. 92 more reason, consequential reason, consequential more reason, non-consequential reason. Depends on property. I have promised some other guys for more reason. For me to consequential if I cannot mother guys with their moral will not follow their reason to start my moral. Start my moral theory cannot explain substitutability. Crimes of property stop provide moral reasons. 5 phenomenal introspection. Most episode rival historical moral discriminant. Over concept morality like question, duration, gender, class, religion, etc. Prove the fallibility, non-observation, what's ethics, introspection means you value happiness because we determine that we value it just so I can observe alone to honest being through judgments about happiness. 6, nothing in the one is triggers for permission to believe but they should affirm. 8 point, the security form in 1 year since time is often such against 6 in our class. If then I can prove the false true, sure B point is presuming statements are true to prove false, and that can mean a mistake you believing after evidence to the contrary. C point is presuming statements are false and possibly can't operate in the world if you can't trust anything. D point triggers kills communication force 1 year research, you should punish them for doing so. Cut the E point, the method. It's not all simulacra reality exists outside of the text should take into account people whose lives are actually affected by images. Black 7, who address hyperbole, refer to journalist skeptics, there's nothing wrong about America. It's not all simulacra persons in the world, not hermit structure, private sin was here for the animators action, nobody sees skeptical what's causing the street. Meaning is possible and participation in politics is inevitable. All natural as oppression by conflating existing conditions with meaning per se, then I can withdraw from or collapse the system. Robinson 4. He's wrong, disinterest me, shadow by uprising, it's impossible to withdraw the illusion withdraw from politics and naturalization, political system, Bojack and the master dumb. It's traumatized by the persistence of subcultures and countercultures, even the sphere of media effects that evidence from research on audience, such as active construction meeting by members of the masses, Bojack wrongly conflates the dominant system with meaning as such. Debating political solutions is an iterative process really easy. Academy set a movement building, creates a bulwark against Trump's fascism. Taylor 17. We interpret uncertainty, Trump policies make lots of things harder. Administration acted attack immigrants continues also migrant communities declared war on Muslims in around the white supremacy what is uncertain is the internal fall through uncertainty is based on calculation and our ability to build movements with the agenda. Organizing only exists when you recognize the academy inside of politics and struggle whether or not we see the political right wing. Serving desk scholarship will not politics. There's a need to connect resistance, trouble transformation with students. Desperate looking for hope. Market desperate looking for hope. Under B1 1 and 3 point the gets out of the community feed to make it impossible. B point is drop the debater short 1 year skewed from distance less than time less than theory. So valid implication of key to check if you see point is an RBI taking statement 6 minutes short argument make the 2 not possible. D point is competing in terms of 1 year in terms of not bi-directional next step to defend your own because they have more time. E point no 2 not 32 to 1 time. Trade off makes it devastating for the 2 year. After point is after refers to one true loss one is 1/4 of the 1 year, 1/7 of one year probably more abuse and devoting that much more time. G point is voter fairness debates again the need rules value education is gives us protocol skills for electric research and thinking. Second reasonable after terms 8 point multiple team terms like expected to expect alpha always valid our interpretations okay. You should error affirmative. B point is resolvability they only one speech after we can new argument we can't debate it. C point and 10 minutes we can debate in 3 minutes. 2 year can make 6 minutes new arguments 6 minutes new arguments and I can never respond. 4 is no omissions violations and K-looks must come from the text of the EC not that doing something like not expecting 8 point of limited time speaking infinite burn negative about our structures like B point for incentives for control subset of education not waste because we only have 4 years for norms and 2 months for top education. 5 expecting a subset of subsidies good. 8 point is all or expecting a subset of nukes is good. 8 point is all nukes is bad model. Or a subset of states is good. 8 point is all states is bad model. The will have specific offense in each one different leads to non-specific debates and no good ground. B point is stable opposite the their term means the applicant definitions of states because they can switch between like NPT states and like non-NPT states. C point is applying generic substack means you can think of free to adapt which is key to utilizing your world skills in new situations. Press 6.
Yeah. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. underneath the first spike when it says 1 AR theory comes first, what does that mean? Or F theory first, what does that mean?
F theory before like neg theory and like before everything else in the round.
So like if there's a conceded shell by the F, conceded shell by the neg.
F theory first.
F theory comes first.
Yes.
Okay, and there's no RBIs either on F theory? Yeah, okay.
You don't get an RBI, yes.
What is a reasonable F interp, or do you get to define that later?
I can define it. It's saying like I should get a paradigm of reasonability. I can explain like what that looks like in the context of your interp, because obviously like different of these stories like different.
The permissibility hard substance, you should punish them. Is this a theory or like is this a theory or argument that's dropped the debater?
No.
What
It's just a reason that they should affirm if you win them.
Wait, triggering presumption is bad and destroys substance, therefore presumption should flow F.
Yes. So you're disincentivized to trigger presumption and
Okay.
kill substance.
Okay, cool. Right. The advantage proper, the Narang evidence is in reference about like when the Indian pilot got shot over Pakistan and Pakistan held the pilot. Why does that mean, like, granted that tension has gone away, or that like that escalation did not happen, why does this evidence still matter? Because it's talking about how nuclearization could happen in response, or like Modi said that as a response to this we could potentially engage in some form of war. Why does that matter?
Yeah, so the Clarion Narang
Necessarily.
and the Kurzesaniak evidence combined talks about how Pakistan's public declarations of using nukes and India's wavering on NFU spikes the risk of one side counterforcing the other. The reason it didn't happen like back in like February and March when like the pilot thing happened is because India was still strong in their NFU. But in August, like their chief defense minister was like, nah, our NFU is like it's open to interpretation. We can
So
just like
this evidence
strike
doesn't
you
rely
for
on the
really
first piece of evidence. I just like want to clarify.
It's not reliant on it. It like corroborates it and like gives
It
examples
doesn't.
of how
Though.
this would
It
occur.
disproves it.
What?
It seems to disprove it, like
How does it disprove it?
because it said it didn't happen, and only after the other piece of evidence, like only with the other piece of evidence. would this
It shows that like lots of things are occurring, and the fact that like India airstriked Pakistan like recently, like in the past like 4 months, proves that like it is escalating because it's the first time that a nuclear power has conducted an airstrike on the territory of another nuclear power.
Okay.
So like rising escalation from like historical events in the past year and like nuclear submarine modernization, etc., probably all prove that like tensions are like rising more and more and more,
Okay.
and at like some point it will get really big.
The intent foresight distinction argument. If I intend to whistleblow, but the government threatens to like kill my family, and I can foresee that happening as a result of my whistleblowing, do I whistleblow?
I mean, you would weigh like how much you care about your family, the pain it would cause them, the pain it would cause you, versus the pleasure of like the consequences of whistleblowing. Like,
So like, should a whistleblower whistleblow on the government even if it means that they can see death happening? Because death is the worst impact underneath your framework, right? So
like death is a bad impact, but obviously like we aggregate. Like it depends on like what the consequences of whistleblowing.
how do we
be.
weigh death versus like the pleasure somebody gets from whistleblowing?
Well, it's not the pleasure you get from whistleblowing, but like the benefits of whistleblowing, the consequences of what would occur if you whistleblow. Like if the government's about to like nuke the whole world and destroy it, you should probably prevent that because that's
Okay, cool. Sorry.
Can one of y'all like send me this recording after?
Oh sure. Still burn. 108 left. It's too often case. I have starting on the theory underview, and the util framework, and all slide posts from there. Yes.
2 up.
Yeah. Oh wait, do you want the intro text? I
Yeah.
need to write it down. But I sent out the doc. I'll just put the intro text in the chat or something. Shit, what just happened? No need to make that face clear.
Oh no, it's a good word document.
I can confirm it's a Word document.
Like, I mean, it's like not verbatim navigation.
No. Oh well, you'll live.
Is this that?
Yeah. And the intro is
Or, well, I downloaded it, I'm waiting for the intro. So I can paste it onto the doc.
It's like not gonna fit probably. Whoa,
Risky.
very nice. The competitors in here for round 2 were not able to make it fit, so congratulations.
Wait, why don't you turn the one in front of it around?
Well,
kind of.
That didn't work.
or just move this one there.
This.
Or that. I mean, that one's already crooked, so. This one's straight.
How many debaters does it take?
This one's also. Oh, it's gonna fall.
Let's hope for the best.
It seems less likely than the first time. Is the shell first or the
The NC's first.
oops. Okay, I am good.
One moment. I'm now good. If Claire is also good.
Okay. Pretty good. First, solving the assurance problem necessary for moral motivation equal conception of justice depend the court to conduct large numbers of people which cannot be achieved without law acted by force of principle of justice. A survey assurance if everyone conform this cannot be realized unless each of them has assurance the other will conform. Motivation is preclusive and morality cannot provide motivating moral circulars nothing except the mere fact and act of morality can be stated to induce compliance. Second is independent self-interest. Compliance with the rules of justice system. Central authority enabled to justice to take and include rights exist in just order depends on consistent patterns of conduct. Separate individuals have attention and deal have no opportunity to conform without the assurance that their conduct will be part of reliable systems. May take many defectors make such as immoral. This kind of institution capable of being just can exist only under sovereign governments and applies can the purpose of morality's guide action is possible for people can conform to some moral rule. This is the moral rule will thus fill a standard is consistency with non-violation of the assurance problem. Third, so assurance is necessary for obligations as well as disagreement establishing a basis for just coercion. Waldron, in situation where which each person acts in judgment, different persons arrive at different conclusions. There's an inference to the idea of justice when force is used by passing side justice. Name the point. Force is to assure people that force is being used to further control contradictory ends. Connection is ruptured. Hence, the need for a single position whose enforcement is consistent. Thus, proving the moral position of the affirmative is inconsistent when solving the assurance problem. Is sufficient to negate obligation of global justice. Break down the requirement of assurance. Obligation to on India and Pakistan to both the denuclearize. Break down the requirement of assurance. Because prevent the international community from enforcing it. Equal 3 justice, something we owe through shared institutions. When we will find the absence of global justice, it calls for distress. The requirements of justice in themselves do not apply to the world as whole until the world comes to be governed by unified sovereign power. Global justice require global sovereignty, which obviously the affirmative definition is a global institution that can do so, which means that they break the assurance requirement by attending to because states can no longer be assured of the fact that other states will be able to comply with what other states mandate of them. Next off, interpretation. Debaters read no neg RBS. They can also not read after here comes after you first. To clarify, they can read either of these spikes, just not in conjunction. Violation. You read no RBS
RBIs and after your first standard strats to make functionally impossible for me to win the theory debate. One of your theory ensures that one of the RBI will always be outweighed by F. Because the only two recourse to go for the RBI, but they don't give access to that either, which creates a structural skew. There's no structural recourse for me on the theoretical layer. It's not a question, it's not a substantive question, but rather a structural question, because even if I read mitigation like the reasonability or drop the argument don't solve because they have risk of offense on theory, which means that true or collapse theory will always be back to tuners attempt to be deflationary, always on links to fairness, because the question of structural abuse, not substantive voters voted in fairness based competitive activity governed by rules. You can't evaluate your debate being around a structural skew. Drop the debater, otherwise it's key to set a norm, otherwise the one here will always go for drop the argument as a positive time trade-off. No RBIs, 8 points incentivized debaters RBs for in terms and the one here try to collapse onto your RBI B point is illogical to prove that by proving your fair C point destroys substantive education, since since the round only becomes about theory. No competing in terms of reasonability. 8 points are arbitrary by should dimension. B point creates a race to bottom, debaters being as close to coming as close to bottom as possible. C point collapses competing in terms. We have competing bright lines, but concedes the need for competition between rules. The under the one year theory arguments. They say after it comes first. They give this like mathematical argument of 1/4 of the 1 year versus 1/7 of the 1 year, but the 2 year collapse screws over the 2 year because I have no 3 minute compensate. Even if it's only 1 for the 2 year, you have 3 minutes versus the 2 year will always have to be split between multiple layers, which means the 2 year always on just psychology, since the judge always is cognitively biased towards the 2 year. And I have no 3 minute compensate. They also say reasonable. They say reasonable F, and that reasonable F in terms of bidirectionality argument doesn't make sense. You can't. There's one obviously in this instance. There's one interpretation that's better. Right? Nobody will say you must read after your first and that does not get RBIs, which means bidirectional theory would not make sense. They say there's only a 4 minute 1 year. That just does not mean you get access to deflation. You should just be able to prioritize. You should be able to necessarily prioritize which arguments to go for. For example, you could go for the RBI or substantively engage in it. They say no tune-out responses. The tune-out should get new responses, new framing issues. I know how 1 year theory, for example, one condo is probably drop the argument, whereas 1,000 bits is drop the debater, which means contextualization is key by the tutor, which means it doesn't matter. The tutor needs to have some sort of framing. Otherwise, the tutor will read an infinite amount of theory shells, and I have no recourse because they each necessarily become drop the debater issue. They say that it doesn't like no violations of omissions. It's not an omission. You actively chose to do so. Now the util framing. Util triggers permissibility. To clarify, I'm not going for these arguments. The reason why permissibility negates. Rather, if util triggers permissibility, you should default to my framework, which means it avoids all of the objections they've labeled, because it's a question of what your framing justifies, and instead we should use some other framework and use some other substantive offense, which means the substantive education argument does not make sense. Util triggers permissibility. If when problem induction passes not reliable practice, we can't use induction prove induction itself. For example, just because the moon came up last night does not mean there's a sound justification for why it ought to come up tomorrow. Seconds predictions impossible eating could cause extinction 10 billion years because each consequence is infinitely cascading, and rarely instead is arbitrary and self-serving for that position. Third is aggregation plus 1 migrant versus 5 takes comparing different types of pleasure, eating, sleeping, living, etc. is impossible. I'll read the Boston part now. In here, infinite worlds mean infinite pleasure options are permissible underneath their framework. Boston recent evidence suggests the world is probably infinite. There's an infinite number of people infinitely happy, unhappy, consequential, and ethically indifferent. If pleasure and pain are infinite, then all possible actions you could take would be morally on part of the line by line. The ASPEC argument empirically disproven. Otherwise, India and Pakistan would have denuclearized, but they obviously have not. Their governments are self-interested, which means the reason they keep their nuclear power. They say after mission distinction, no governments would be infinitely obligated to give away all their money, for example. And that's why it's also empirically disproven. The intent for said distinction means governments hold you hostage. You could whistle and they could threaten to kill your family. They could threaten to nuke another nation, and you can foresee that reasonably. You would never be able to take an action. You'd be ethically held hostage. The Lexo priority argument proves that their framework is instrumental to obligation, not intrinsic to obligation. Whereas blind hijinks proves that a prerequisite to any state action in the international arena is solving the problem of assurance. The degrees of wrongness argument doesn't make sense. You can weigh degrees of wrongness underneath the assurance problem as well. The burden is on them is to prove that they cannot actually weigh. Also, you can't weigh competing extinction scenarios or different types of pleasure, pain, etc. The substitutability argument is explained by geontology. Enablers are a means to an end, not the end itself. They're infinite amount of enablers, and in order to start them over, must take an infinite amount of steps, which means their framework causes process and reason rejected the phenomenal introspection argument. One egoism disputes like I can only introspect my own pleasure. Second masochist disputes that they get pleasure from pain itself. Third justifies the value theory, just means I like pleasure. Does not mean I ought to maximize pleasure, and I especially should not maximize pleasure for other people. Now, that's good. Okay, sweet. I'm first going to go through the lemma line of the advantage, and I'll read the cards in the doc. The lemma line, the first evidence occurs at 19 evidence. Their evidence says if nuclear war, they would launch preemptive strikes, but if they were launching preemptive strikes, those preemptive strikes would only target Pakistani nuclear arsenals, which means retaliation is possible. Their scenario is not triggered. The IU evidence talks about terrorism. If there's full scale, their evidence says only if there's full scale war would nuclear war be triggered, which means they need to win some sort of link that there will be some sort of full scale war in the near future, which they have not proven that the app itself is inherent or tensions are on the rise right now, which is something that needs war. The wrong 19 evidence says there's a perception argument. Their evidence is about a pilot being shot down over Indian pilot being shot down over Pakistan. Pilot was later returned and all that tension was resolved, which means granted they don't have an inerrancy. You should not be ready for them. Now I'm going to read the cards of top 1 in nuclear war. Herod 227. Could this conflict escalate nuclear confrontation? Commentators regard the possibilities unlikely. Current conflict does not appear to be a line grab, which says Pakistan does not have reason to engage in nuclear option escalating to nuclear conflict would be catastrophic both India and Pakistan. Option only could be taken by New Delhi or Islamabad. History bullshit. Chowdhury's analysis in 1990 U.S. launched a diplomatic effort to dissuade Pakistan's use of nuclear weapons to de-escalate the conflict. Secondary risk of impact nuclear war. Mid-19 and nuclear exchange remains highly likely. Current crisis escalated to go up quite a few more wrong. long as the tensions really spiral out of control, the intentional committee would intervene to defuse tensions granted they have not proven inheritance claim is probably hard to do. Third, nuclear deterrence solves prevents interfact conflicts. Called 118, the deterrence equilibrium South Asia serves as assurance for peace and nuclear weapons and reduce the chances of war. In South Asia, nuclear deterrence is viewed as more stable than conventional deterrence. Pakistan countered Egypt technological missile developments, calculated responses to uphold deterrence. Pakistan adequately prepared itself to address challenges of Indian aggression by maintaining credible nuclear deterrence. Also, they're in a field. One of the other harms that one is true, and they can solve their impact for the control the levers of the power, which means you can vote negative on presumption, or their harms are constructed for the purpose of alarmism, which means you can vote negative on principle. The affirmative will not either the affirmative will have like the impacts that you have happen over screwed, or they will not happen at all. Granted, they've not proven enhanced your claim. Yeah, that's good. I didn't mean to confirm. Yeah, no, the lead.
Cross exceeded.
Yes.
Where's the warrant for there being infinite universe?
The argument is that scientific evidence suggests this to be the case.
What scientific evidence?
Like what do you mean?
Where is the scientific evidence in the Bostrom card?
I guess Bostrom didn't say like NASA said so, but I think Bostrom is making a claim that is true. You
Why
can read
is
evidence.
it true? Like, is there a warrant for there being infinite universes?
What? Bostrom says there is. Bostrom is.
So
Everybody
just
regards
because
it as
Bostrom
true.
says so. So like this means like if you read a qualified author, you don't have to read warrants.
No, there's a one for consequentialism would be ethically indifferent to there being infinite universes.
But are there infinite universes?
Yes, you could read an argument that says you don't. You keep asking the same process question.
Okay.
I know what your 1 year response will be. I don't know why you're wasting time on it.
Okay. The self-interest argument on accurate specificity. What was this?
Where did I make it specifically?
It was the first argument made on the framework.
Oh,
After
that
the
actors are
framework was
self-interested and not utilitarian, which means the previously disproven. Otherwise, India and Pakistan would have denuclearized. There's literally no reason why people want to. Like specific to your actors, they're not utilitarian.
Okay.
Great.
The underview. Actually, that's fine. The NC. What is the assurance problem?
Sure. So Nagel describes the assurance problem, and basically is that the idea of assurance for states is required for them to take action in the international arena.
Actually, wait. What's the offense?
The argument is that the affirmative breaks the problem of assurance because it attempts, like, say, states ought to take this action without there's no superseding international authority that can reliably motivate them to take action. And that breaks down the conception of assurance in the international arena, which is key to
Explain the
international
offense again.
action.
Why does this again?
Yeah, the argument is the affirmative says that like these two disparate actors ought to take an action, which breaks down the assurance problem inside the international arena, since there's no like unilateral like governing authority that can motivate both the states to take the action.
Wait, is it that they need an assurance, or that someone needs to like make sure they give each other assurances?
Wait, what do you mean?
Like,
I'm confused by it.
are you saying like an external actor has to provide assurances, or that they just need assurances?
I think it's the external actor, or like I guess you could make an argument that says they only need assurances, but I think the external actor argument is what the negative is saying.
Why does it require an external actor?
Because that's the way you resolve disagreement.
Can states ever take like an international action without an external actor?
Yes, but cooperative state action. The argument is like states cooperatively cannot be obligated to do something. They must do it individually in some way.
Okay, what kind of external actor do we need?
It's saying that there is not a governing body in the international arena that can reliably solve the assurance.
Why not?
Well, you could make an argument that there is.
Oh.
Like,
what does this like global justice Nagel 3 card say?
it says when we have an obligation to do justice in the global arena, it breaks down the requirement of assurance.
How?
Do you want me to, like, it says that, are you trying to, okay, it says that justice comes from shared institutions, and if shared institutions attempt to disparately motivate each other, then there's no, the assurance problems, or like, the assurance problem becomes a thing, basically, or it's triggered, I guess.
139. Or wait.
You said 139.
No, keep going. Okay, start prep 120. Okay, Sensei shell.
Where on the affirmative case are you starting?
Advantage.
Okay.
On the advantage, you can start next to the IU card and then top down on the 1C.
Oh, sorry. You're good.
Which card was that one?
The terrorism internal link.
Okay. And then it's NC and then shell, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Or actually, no, shell and NC. Yeah. Everybody good?
Mm-hmm.
All three of the internal links are parallel, means I only need to win one of them in order to win escalation. Extend the terrorism internal link, Indian retaliation attack started, targeting Pakistani facilities as well as terrorist bases. Tit for tat escalation spirals out of control because neither side can downplay attacks due to strong nationalism. Conceded nationalism internal link means that India's strategic attacks provide Pakistani military response and tactical nuclear usage against superior Indian military to escalate to fall nuclear orbits. Neither side wants to locally plan zones by loading nukes. I'm not going for the preemptive strike link, but I'll answer the retaliation possible argument. Yes, retaliation. The clearing the wrong evidence at the bottom says that India won't be able to completely disarm because they don't have the power in order to disarm. Pakistan's also developing the second strike capability with nuclear submarines, which solves their offense. We don't need to win full-scale war because we want our true evidence proves that even a couple 15 kiloton nukes, i.e. the smallest nukes, are still sufficient because they kill 200,000 people, which is an impact under util. They say no nuclear war, but we've answered it through our terrorism argument and the stuff about the deterrence argument. One lack of strategic resistance checks, as another side will hold back in retaliation to airstrikes or tolerate air attacks at national bases, deterrent relevance. Second, try and modernization, devolution of command to inexperienced trigger happy submarine commanders, and lack of underwater communication exponentially increase miscount. Third is first strike, upgrade arsenals wandering, and if you backtracking means usual lose pressures cause an overconfident nation to shoot first out. Fiat double no impact to alarmism. We've won that after would be a good idea if you did it hypothetically. In this round, obviously we don't think it's gonna happen IRL, which solves all their offense. Util. The argument just for the usual hard enough our predictions don't need to be perfect and conceded advantage or when winning the advantage whereas the right actor specificity comes first different agents have different political standings that change the way the valued action. The resolutions implemented by state which government actor using mutual even if they're anti-true for individuals. It doesn't apply to playing governments implemented by scarce research means they have to make decisions about who to serve. For example, the government can't send one police car or two robbers, which proves that they have to be responsible for the mission, which proves that it's an only non-arbitrary way to make arguments. Their only answer is just like this, like sort of in India and Pakistan would have denuclearized on aggregation, but we've made an argument for why they should. This is self-fallacy because just because they haven't denuclearized doesn't mean that they shouldn't do it. And this is like the same argument. A reason why we can like durable fiat out of rearmament. Now, the one about the permissibility triggers, they say induction, but induction's wrong because we don't need to be perfect predictions. Good is good enough. We can be 99% sure what happens in the past is going to happen in the future. You can contextualize it to the advantage because if I'm winning, it proves util sufficient. Infinite consequences are wrong because they're too far in the future to humans think of, so we can't evaluate them. They have zero probability. Also answers infinite worlds because we can't conceive of everything. Aggregation doesn't fail because eminent domain proves that government aggregate social benefits, taking away people's property to build roads and airports. Shell. Project combo shells over 8 points limits. There's an infinite number of multiple shells. Debaters can defend. There's imaginary offense. Every single kind of duration. B points strategy. Incentivize them attack on a bunch of points, which makes it impossible to generate offense. The counter duration. C point resolvability. Find one offense back to one point. The one offense back to the other point. There's no way between the two. D point is norming. Odds of anyone violating the shell again makes it impossible because it makes the shell useless for norming, which always why we have competing term theory debates. E point reject the whole interpret by prove one plank is fair because means boost doesn't stem from the conjunction and the interpretation is flawed. One plank is fair. They conceded that they shouldn't get RBS in one of your theory, which was no RBIs. It's fair and checks interpretation, counter interpretation. Inverse interpretation. One is affirmative flexibility. Conceded verming harder because it's 2 times 2 and 2 in our calls means to get more time against the trigger, which means that we need this to compensate second critical thinking force to navigate through a good one and C's, which allows to get rid of the future line, but on a Strasky one non-unique every argument to some there's no reason to see nuclear. Second is impact turn 14 meters strategic in the future navigate with a good one C strategy. Third is winning a counter interpret and reading theory proves that you can win the theory base. So it's not there obviously is theory recourse for you. 4 is critical thinking always because education always fairness. It's a only portable thing that we actually get drop the education solves their offense because topic education means that it should come first. We can go back to substance and it's not a good time trade-off because I obviously have to answer the shell too. NC. Top down at the NC, their first argument is wrong because winning util solves the insurance problem because we want all people and the government to conform to it, which is our eminent domain example, and the cops and robbers example. It's also disproves that like the naval evidence. The second argument is peace evidence is wrong because morality motivates states to take action because it will keep them in power because then the citizens will like them more and will especially proven by like democratic things. Obviously there is central power which is proven by the fact that a government governs over people. Their next argument is wrong because implying can proves aggregation always because eminent domain proves that they can use util, and so does our advantage. Our assurances isn't key to obligations because people take risks all the time, which means that risk taking solves their offense. The offense proper one turn. We provide assurances because that the other side can't strike because they know that if the other side doesn't have nuclear weapons, then obviously you can't escalate to a nuclear war because we feel both sides denuclearizing. Second, i.e., International Atomic Energy Agency is the one that enforces things like denuclearization, i.e., like South Africa, etc., proves that it's normal means, which turns it because it proves that there's like a global governing body that will give them assurances that justice doesn't come from shared institutions. A point is that NFU is an example of assurances because it proves that like one side is assuring the other side that they won't strike even if India is going back on it. It proves that these sorts of assurances can come from the other side, i.e., one saying they'll do nuclears means that they can't like nuke the other side. B point is it can come from spoken words, i.e., we won't nuke you because you don't have nukes is still an assurance which solves your offense and is sufficient to take an action. You have like 108.
Yeah, right now. What was the second turn on the NC?
Normal means is IAEA enforcement, which proves like the AF leads to like good global assurances.
What is the IA?
International Atomic Energy Agency. They're like the group that has enforced like denuclearization every time it's happened. Like Ukraine, like the other like Baltics when they ceded their nukes to Russia, South Africa when they like dismantled like the 6 or 7 nukes they had like in the end of the 1980s. So yeah.
Here real quickly the NC and the AC.
We're in case framework, I assumed an advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody good? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Norvia on theory, which means that distinction when risk of outseeing the NC can be negative, the NC proper. I'm going to get to the line real quickly, then explain it, give an overview explanation. The line changes the one winning neutral disproves the assurance problem. Even if you bring the states are self-motivated, you have not one states are self-motivated. India is not motivated, self-motivated, denuclearizing. Second, is this a question of whether or not the affirmative international obligation can actually be proven, even if philosophy motivates an individual state, cannot motivate states to act in compliance together. There's no way that India and Pakistan both agree simultaneously they will denuclearize. And it's empirically proven by fact it's not happening in the first place. They say keep them in power because they have some sort of self-interest. No, obviously does not keep them in power insofar as denuclearization is what prevents them from having some sort of hegemony, which means states are definitely not self-interest. They make the limelight. They say that they can still use nuclear weapons that are self-motivated. No, they're not self-motivated. The organisms they cannot be self-motivated to act in conjunction with other states. Even they when that individual states have obligations. Question whether or not collectively states can be obligated to do anything. Second argument says that they say states can take risks. Risk taking doesn't justify motivation. A state wants to do something does not mean the global assurance problem itself by a philosophical concept independent of self-interest can exist or not. It's a question of whether or not obligation can exist in the first place. How we resolve disagreement between states. The answers we can't the terms they say one in terms it prevents assurances that other people will strike. No, even if it assures people that's not strike. It's a question of whether or not external authorities can assure that people will not disagree when it comes to the enactment of the affirmative. So how would we obligate states to act in the first place? That requires some sort of global international authority. Their second argument is probably their only potential out in the two area where they say the global powers exist. A point is not in the EC. You should draw a line from the one area to the two area. If there's any contextualization offered of what this international agency is, what it does, it's done for dismantling nuclear weapons safely, and it exists. It could confirm that they happen in the correct manner. That does not mean they enforce international treaties where multiple international bodies agree to denuclearize at the exact same time together. That is not what the IAI does. Especially when it was not in the EC. It's not. It should not be held as part of their advocacy. That's not what their solvency advocacy talks about. It just says South Asia should denuclearize, but with very big. So with very terms to make two other arguments, they say that it says that one state will assure the other. No, the states that is the problem with the assurance. That is the problem with the assurance from one state cannot make assurance because there are disagreements that happen between states, and those assurances will necessarily until they break down the B point. They say they wouldn't want nuclear weapons to go. This argument does not make sense. Was looked at in the last seconds in the last 5 seconds of the 1 year, which means you should not, or the 1 year, which means you should not evaluate. Now the overview here, I will explain the problem, the NC problem, the assurance problem is necessary. The framing issues, the assurance problem is necessary for moral motivation and controls internally. They may have won a theory. They may have won a theory of how states operate, but they have not won how states operate in the international arena specifically, which means it's a question of international obligation. I find when my theory provides the rigorous kind of how international obligation exists, or the fact that international obligation does not exist in the world affirmative, that means you're negative. The second argument is unequal to represent that independent self-interest compliance assumes some sort of central authority. If I've proven that there's no central authority, if the one you see did not provide some sort of central authority, disagreement for the world redemption, that means that they break down the assurance problem. There are disagreements that happen in forms of international agreements, and insofar as that disagreement happens, there's no overarching central authority to resolve it. That means it does not matter whether or not states are self-interested. Rather, if there's a fact that the disagreement can arise in some sort of instance, my philosophy, the one in would say that is the assurance problem, and that therefore, even if specific empirical examples disprove it, if the philosophy itself is true, that would mean that assurance problem is broken down and states do not conform. The last piece of evidence is equal to evidence that proves it, affirming about the assurance problem, because the global justice does not exist because it requires some sort of global sovereignty that does not exist. NC is functionally inhibited. It's not turnable, which means that I just need to prove the assurance problem does exist, and if there's a risk the assurance problem exists, that means underneath the NC framing there would be no reason to vote affirmative, because we cannot engage in the affirmative self because it assumes some sort of problem with assurance that does not exist. The affirmative proper, here's where the round is over. It changes just extending one argument through ink, but considering reasons why his framework of utilitarianism is false. Prima facie, there are two arguments I'm going for. One is the phenomenal introspection argument. Conceded, the argument says that there is no theory of pain and pleasure. If there's no theory of pain and pleasure, then there's no reason why you should be voting affirmative. Why does nuclear war matter? Why does extinction matter? There's no articulation of why there's a comprehensive theory of the good, insofar as we're all egoistic and we can only introspect our own pleasure, which means I do not care about other people dying. I do not even care about my own self dying. Granted that there's no warranty done by the 1 year or the 1 EC why extinction itself matters, and if they've not won a theory of utilitarianism, then you cannot vote for them. The second argument is that the turn on degrees of the substitutability argument is an infinite amount of enablers, which means it's framing independently, which trigger permissibility is reason to default to my friend, God, there are infinite amount of steps I take for the mirror, which means that I must view action as one unified thing, which means utilitarianism might be the consequence of every single step, would be rendered incongruent. The A-spec argument is the only argument to Tesh goes where he says it commits to Isol fallacy, but he's conceded the reason the argument says that if it commits to Isol fallacy, the entire basis of the A-spec argument is that governments act. This is how governments act in the real world. They attempt to argue, but that is the Isol fallacy itself. It doesn't make sense to say this Isol fallacy resolves it. Granted, that whole objection to your framing in the first place is the Isol fallacy. If I won that Pakistan and India, as actors, do not care about denuclearizing other in face of other nations, and would this argument just straight up gives away because it commits the Isol fallacy in of itself, and there is no accumulation distinction because states are infinitely obligated, which means that you cannot go for any of the A-spec arguments. The F proper, the only argument the advantage proper, the only argument change goes for is the terrorism argument. They extend this question of nationalism. You need to ask yourself, is there any inherency provided by the 1 EC or the 1 year? Are tensions on the rise right now? If the answer is no, you can vote negative on you can vote negative on them. Granted, he's won a bunch of internal links of why nuclear war could happen, but it's not one reason why in the status quo some sort of scenario is happening that the 1 EC will potentially stop. Granted, he's that one that, for example, tensions are high currently, or tensions are on the brink of some sort of nuclear war. Granted, you have evidence that literally relies on the full-scale war happening, and even if nationalism is center exists, the question of will the full-scale war be triggered, and there's no inherency in the F, which means you cannot vote. I'm going to go for a couple of mitigation, a couple of defensive arguments, or a couple of defensive arguments on case proper. The evidence says that there's no war that's going to happen because there's use of nuclear weapons, and their attempt in the international arena would attempt to de-escalate the conflict itself, which means that even if there's no internal to any sort of war whatsoever, the other argument for the terms evidence call evidence says that nuclear turns solvent prevents Indo-Pakistan conflict because of nuclear weapons. When they remove nuclear weapons, it causes more war and triggers internally to their scenario, which would be necessarily worse because deterrence is what assures peace in the first place. Now, here's how the round breaks down. The NC's a nib. I've won my framework pretty comprehensively. The two will attempt to extend some sort of Blippi argument and then grandstand it on the NC. And that's fair, but you need to draw them from the 1 year to the 2 year. If that argument was not there, or if that argument was not fully warranted, and there's an NC that the majority of which is conceded, and I've won, there's no framework for you to vote F on, then you can vote negative.
I forgot to recognize how much prep I have. I think it was 1 something.
140 something.
I'm just gonna go with 140 prep.
It's 120. Because it was 139 and then it cut down.
Oh, yeah, true. 120, sir. Advantage NC at the contention. Hey, are we good? Indian retaliation attacks started targeting Pakistani facilities as well as terrorist bases. Tit-for-tat escalation spirals out of control because India will airstrike Pakistan and neither side can downplay tactics strong nationalism. India's surgical strikes provoke Pakistani military response and tactical nuclear usage and superior Indian military, which escalates to full-on nuclear war because neither side wants to look weak. They say, I haven't won a Scottish scenario. Yes, we have. We won. India's backtracking on the NFU, which leads to use or lose pressures, nationalism with the Muslim naturalization bill, and India targeting like Pakistani military facilities and terrorist bases as a retaliation to terror attacks. All of these prove that like airstrikes and like all of these things like can escalate, which means we have won a scenario. They say Ayub relies on full-scale war. Obviously, it doesn't because the two evidence says that a small-scale war or eliminate nuclear would still be bad because things like 100 kiloton nuclear war or like a 15 kiloton nuclear weapon war would still kill like 250 million or something like that. It's like do the math, 2.5 times World War II. So there's obviously still a lot of deaths, which is like a bad impact. Under affirmative the Herrera evidence, they say international strike, but it doesn't solve use or lose pressures or nationalism because there's only like 4 minutes in between. The U.S. isn't going to intervene in 4 minutes and be like, wait, unlaunch your nuke because they already launched it. The deterrent strike conceded national bases and tried modernization. Take this out because things like trigger happy submarine commanders and lack of underwater communication exponentially increase the risk of miscalc. And national bases means that neither side's going to hold back because Modi wants to pander to his base because like the BJP's like super hard right and like fascist and all that. Now the NC. We've won the advantage. Now all we have to do is win that the AC is consistent with the NC and you can vote affirmative because there's no reason like to vote negative, and they've conceded like presumption permissibility firm, which is like all this stuff in the 1AC. Now the one but I'm going for the IAEA turn, you were right. This is like the only real 2 error out. You probably should have spent more time on it, so I can't jump on extent the IAEA enforcement argument, but it's definitely normal means. The only example of denuclearization in the past is when like the Baltic states gave it up to Russia and when South Africa denuclearized. This proves that this was an argument that we made in the 1 year. Like obviously we don't need evidence on it because like we made a claim, they haven't disproved it, which means you should take the claim to be true. The IAEA enforcement is the only thing way that like denuclearization has ever occurred when South Africa dismantled like their 7 nukes in like the 1980s. Like after the war, those just like dismantle your nukes. Like it's a bad thing. Then they just dismantled it, and the IAEA enforced it by ensuring that they didn't have nukes and like forcing them to comply with it. Like and other countries would just pressure them. It proves that like things like international checks do provide assurances. They say it's not in like the 1AC draw line from the 1 year to the 2 year. It's not in the app, but it was in the 1 year. Obviously the 1 year can make arguments to answer the NC, and this was an extension from the 1 year to the 2 year. They say it's a question of whether external authorities can assure disagreement. There's no disagreement. We haven't made a claim that like India and Pakistan just like agreed to denuclearize. We've just like fiated that both of them just independently denuclearize so that one side can't nuclear strike the other, which like solves our nuclear war scenario. It's just fiat, not an enforcement. And even if disagreements happen, the IAEA would just be like, no, denuclearize completely, screw you, and whatever you think they say is not in their self-interest, but it is all fallacy. It was an argument that they made on the case page, and if I'm not going for util, then it takes out the self-interest argument because it proves that even if it's not in their self-interest right now, it doesn't mean that like they ought not, or it doesn't mean that they ought not denuclearize, which answers their argument. There's also like no reason why like NFU and like assurances from the other side can't solve, because even if disagreements happen, obviously NFU is like a binding policy. NFU is like a binding policy, and proves that justice doesn't have to come from shared institutions. And things like the affirmative obviously solve, because like a country like China or like a country like India can just be like, no, first use, we're not going to strike you, which provides an assurance to the other side that they're not going to use nuclear weapons. Also, it's like even if it's a question of whether external authorities can assure disagreement, it provides assurances to the other side that one side can't nuke the other side, which proves that things like international, like overarching bodies forcing denuclearization, independent fiating, lack of agreement, proves like it doesn't matter if there's disagreement, it just gets enforced.
Sure. Good debate.